On the private option, with that, if you had been governor at the time that the private option legislation came before you, would you have signed that or would you have vetoed that legislation?
Well, if I'd been governor, that legislation would not have come forward to me because my position was that it should be resolved in a special session that would still be in the future.
Okay.
And so that's how I would have addressed it as governor, because the facts have really changed even since the legislature met. President Obama has delayed the employer mandate portion. There's a debate as to what other changes to be made. That's the kind of information I would have preferred to have as we dealt with this in a special session that will be coming up, as well as what other states are doing. So that's how I would have addressed it. When it comes to the issue of health care, I'm very concerned about Obamacare and its implementation and how it's going to work. That goes back to the reason I opposed Obamacare to begin with.
Okay.
And we have never had to deal with this had Congressman Mike Ross not supported Obamacare out of committee. And that's what we're trying to deal with in the state of Arkansas now.
Well, now, you said, though, that you would have called for a special session to deal with this. So if the private option had come through with a special session, would you have signed it or vetoed it?
Well, we wouldn't know. It's coming up, and so we're still shaping that. So we're still getting information as to what changes Congress is going to make, what other states' waivers are going to be.
But the legislation as it currently is.
And so how much the cost is going to be. And that's how we would address it in a special session, still gaining those facts. And you'd also learn as to how the exchange is going to be operating. So if I'd been governor, that legislation would have been dealt with in a special session coming up in the future.
But the specific piece of legislation that was passed and that is now law, would you have vetoed that or signed that?
Oh, I did say, and that is my position, that we have a Republican majority legislature, and if there had been a consensus on legislation coming out that was not going to be dealt with in special session, then I would have signed the legislation rather than vetoing it. Okay. But again, that legislation would not have come forward to me at that point because I would have addressed it in a special session.